How do you trust what ETs are saying? You may ask, I didn't know ETs were talking to us. Well, yes, they've been talking to us for decades, actually. And it started with psychic mediums or channelers who would connect with these off-planet entities and channel their messages. But not just for ETs, it's also from entities from, I guess you can say, the ghost world or from the other side, heaven, whatever you want to call it. But yes, extraterrestrial entities have been channeled by psychic mediums for a very long time. And in fact, they often admit this is part of the process of disclosure. This was the first step for them to make contact with humanity through psychic mediums. And nowadays, just within the past year, we have these new terms such as CE5, which stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which was coined by Dr. Stephen Greer. But another term that we have that have come into public view recently is the term psionics, which also refers to an individual with psychic abilities who can connect with ET entities. So we have these terms that are entering our lexicon just within the past year, not to mention the term non-human intelligence, which has been fed to us by our own governments. So this is a profound time that we're living in. But we come back to that question of how can we trust what the ETs are saying? And this is exactly a question that has been posed today by Patrick over at the Vetted YouTube channel. Please check out his video about this topic. I've placed a link in the description box below. It's a fantastic episode. Please take a look. But he posed this question, and this question has been posed many times before. But I'll attempt to give a perspective on it, a perspective that perhaps might come from a spiritual point of view or from ET entities themselves. But first, let's take a look at the clip.
I wonder, how do you trust what these beings are saying, right? I brought that up many times on the channel, but how do you trust the knowledge they're giving you? Make sense? What if they're just messing with you, right? I mean, it's like we just believe it because they said it, right? Or you get this voice, well, that must be it. That's the truth, right? What due diligence are we doing to make sure that, right, two parts. One, are you actually getting that message? And two, let's say you are getting that message and that's real. How do you know to believe it?
So Patrick is referring to an interview that was done with a Canadian UFO researcher. His name is Grant Cameron, and he's relaying a story from Chris Bledsoe, who is a pretty well-known UFO contactee via the government and other organizations. And he's referring to a person within the government who is channeling an ET entity and had divulged some pretty amazing things and perspectives. But that's mainly what Patrick is questioning. How do we know the information and the alleged guidance that's coming through these channels from the ET beings? How do we know that it's legitimate? How do we know that it's real? And I think the answer or the perspective that ET entities, collectives have often answered is that you have to use your own discernment, your own intuitive discernment. That's like your own internal bullshit meter to determine if something is authentic, to determine if something is true for you or not. that you need to use this internal mechanism of your own being to determine. They often say that this is something that all humans have. We have this intuitive ability to discern what is correct and what is false, and that ultimately we must tap into that. However, there is also another element that we can also use to verify if something is true or not. And that's by questioning if a piece of information that's being shown to you or given to you, whether it comes from a place of love, if it comes from a place of empowerment or upliftment. They often say our messages are only to uplift you and to empower you. And they always come from a place of love and respect. If you get messages from alleged beings that use fear, that use any type of coercion, guilt, shame, or judgment, any type of negative emotion, you need to be aware of that, and you need to question the authenticity of the source. So that would be their answer. Use your own intuitive discernment and question if the message resonates with you, if it's coming from a place of love, joy, upliftment, empowerment, respect, non-judgment, and also, most importantly, that it respects your free will. So those are the questions that we need to ask. But it should be noted that Patrick's caution is absolutely valid. And in times it's necessary, because there's more to the story than we're aware of. When it comes to these entities, these non-physical entities that are making telepathic connections with humans, they kind of fall into two teams. There are entities that are positive, that are benevolent, and are here to support humanity without violating our free will. But then there's also the other side, those that are referred to as negative entities. Their intentions are more about a service to self as opposed to service to others. But to explain the situation a little better, here is a channeling from Tia, who is a member of the Arcturian Council of Five. They are a collective, non-human, non-physical collective whose purpose and intention is to uplift and support and guide humanity during these times of transition, particularly during this time of disclosure. So let's take a listen.
In the cosmic drama unfolding before you, there are two major factions at work. On one side, you have the remnants of the shadow, the dark forces who continue to implement the last vestiges of their plans. Their efforts, though intense, are ultimately doomed to fail because they are based on an illusion of separation and control. On the other side, there exists an alliance of light, vibrant, dynamic, and resolute in its commitment to dismantling the old systems of oppression and replacing them with structures that honor the infinite potential of every soul. These light forces, in their wisdom, have woven a theatrical narrative over the surface events. This narrative is not intended to hide the truth, but rather to gently guide the unprepared mind away from a sudden and overwhelming confrontation with the vast, multi-layered reality that is emerging. If you were...
So that's why disclosure is taking so long, and why some people have described it as a drip feed. We're being fed little bits and morsels of information, little bit at a time. And many are asking, why don't they just disclose it all? And I think the answer is pretty simple. I don't think humanity is ready to handle the entirety of it all. But let's continue.
If you were to know every single detail of the deep cosmic processes at work, the very fabric of your perceived reality might unravel, leading to a state of mass psychosis.
That's it.
Thus, a more measured, gradual disclosure is necessary to preserve the stability of the collective psyche as you awaken to your true nature.
Yep.
I invite you to cultivate a deeper understanding of the codes that underlie your everyday experiences. Recognize that the narratives presented to you in the public sphere are merely the tip of an iceberg that extends into realms of truth far beyond what the ordinary mind is accustomed to. When you engage with those closest to you, friends, family, or even casual acquaintances who react strongly to the surface-level news, approach them with compassion and understanding. Offer gentle guidance and encourage them to view the situation from a higher perspective. You do not need to reveal all the cosmic intricacies. Sometimes, planting a seed of awareness is enough to begin their own journey toward deeper understanding.
So there you have it. Please visit GFL Station for the entire channeling. It's absolutely beautiful. And remember, it needs to be uplifting. Use your intuitive discernment to decide if any messages or any channels resonate with you and if they are true or not. But I've put a link in the description box below to GFL Station, as well as vetted from earlier before. So please visit them, check them out, and thanks for being with me. I appreciate it. Enjoy.